If I told you the things I've seen on my ways, if I told you the things I've done in my days, you wouldn't believe me anyway. So it's best I just don't say. I've lived 1,000 lives, I've piloted 1,000 souls, I killed and fought and died just for a single role.
Somehow I got lionized.
Why, hello, and welcome to Session 9 of Exodus in Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition. I am your referee, Stu, and to my left...
Hi, I'm back, bitches. I'm Joey, and I'm playing Milo Hawkins, ex-Diplomat, and the Wrangler of Cats, who was not here last session, and so the cats fucked everything up.
Indeed,
I mean,
they
really,
did.
they were going to anyway.
Right.
They're cats.
I could have
that's what
delayed
they
the
do.
fuck up, though.
Hi, I'm Stork. I'm playing Vesa, Simola, somebody from Finnish nationality, from Terra, ex-marine, ex-scout, ex-merchant. He's failed out everything. Of course, it's me. That's why.
Hi, I'm Pooja. I am playing Shari Melnyk, an ex-intelligence agent, and, sometime decent pilot, sometime almost freezing Stork's feet off.
Excellent. Now, does anyone know what happened in Session 8? Someone watched it, even though he wasn't here.
Yeah, because unlike the other people, I did the reading.
There you go.
Okay, so if I remember correctly, I can't remember how this session started.
Let me
Where
get
did
my
we-
synopsis out here, and
Yeah.
I'll
where did
read
we-
along.
We were on the base.
You're on
we had,
DSRS Delta or whatever.
Right.
we had just sort of settled in and got on the base,
That's
and
right.
you had made yourself captain of everything.
Yep.
Oh, yes, because your handprint works on everything now.
Yep, absolutely. That's right. We left the Vanguard with Dr. Hutchinson. We took the new commandeered ship back towards
The
Terra.
Houdini.
Is that what we're calling it?
That was the name.
That's the
name
name
in the
of it.
registry.
I'm not mad at that. We went back to the Sol system to contact the Wolf to let him know what was going on. He gave us information on Dr. Ubisi,
Cableton, BC.
Cable
right?
Ubisi, who is not an X-Men. We then found out that he was back. Our last known whereabouts was back on the planet where the college was.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to jump back that way, refuel at a gas giant, which happened to be the gas giant around Dolan's Peak. And encounter the science vessel that had been overrun by the lurkers, because Ustas did exactly what we told them not to do, which was get a large group of them together and see what happens. And then they did, and then they took over the ship.
The entire,
Yeah, the space, the research ship.
The research ship, yeah. There was one human person still on the ship.
He was, if I recall correctly, he was trapped in the bridge.
Yes.
In the center spire.
Like, first meet Cordova,
Sounds right.
and you guys communicated with him. He was like, please get me out of here, please and thank you. They're trying to kill people. And you decided the best way to do that was to try to communicate with the lurkers, which you did telepathically, which worked because they realized they didn't really care about him at all, so you got them to release him. But unfortunately, because Stork brought up the nanobots and put it in your guys' brains, they are now aware that nanotechnology is the thing and now want to know where to find it so they can take out their enemies, even if it means destroying themselves. So congratulations, we made Traveler Klingons.
It's about to happen eventually.
Sure.
or Reavers.
Or Reavers. Also Reavers. Did one more jump to the planet that had the college on it, which was planet...
70 OPHE.
That's the one. And we discovered that since we left, someone, not mentioning any names, but I will because she's not here, Kimi, decided, or basically started a revolution by introducing her cult to some college students, who then made it a political movement and is now causing uprisings and student bullshit. And that's where we left off, I believe.
mean, I'm just saying, you and I participated in our fair share of, youthful political upheaval.
Yes, and and absolutely gluing ourselves to the science building freshman year of college. That happened. That's canon now. But yeah, I believe that was all the big points that happened. I don't think I missed any of the major plot points.
Riley met with
Dr.
Edwin Connors, who was one of the engineers on the Jump True drive. And BC had left 70 Oriuchi on the Ustas Crick science vessel about a month ago.
And I noted in here that when you guys got drunk, he admitted that the Crick was going to an empty parsec rather than where he said it was going, which was Egan 372.
Right, and we looked it up on the map, which isn't here now, but we should have it somewhere.
I'm sure I have
maybe
a
you
map.
give it to me. Maybe give it to me to keep.
I've got
think it was
maps.
one of these
I don't
things.
give things to people to keep.
Let there be map.
Now, I just want to note a couple of notes that I made in here. The party convinces them to let the first mate go. This is the lurkers. And they jettison the bridge pod. The first mate heads towards the planet. The lurkers at least imply they need nothing in the way of supplies as they have an ample supply of food. The party leaves.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, we saved one dude, and I feel like I'm going to call it a win.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, someone can
We
put
don't
bodies back
necessarily,
together.
Like, I mean, if everyone else is dead, it's just body.
That's true.
Meat is meat.
Well,
Sure.
how are we supposed to go in there and, like...
I know.
Yeah.
Also, the last time we
That's
fought
pretty
one
funny.
lurker, who was only connected to 2 other lurkers, Stork almost died.
That's true. He did. Well, that's Stork, though.
Yeah, I almost died with the robot, too. But, yeah.
It wasn't
He
like
almost
was-
killed me in one hit, as opposed to a bunch of little hits like
Right.
the robot did.
Well, come on. If I can handle 100 lizard squirrels, who can handle 19 lurkers?
So many squirrels.
So many squirrels.
I still, like, coming back after the time away and being like, 16 crystal squirrels, and then just a little, like, dot circle with a stick figure on a horse. Where did we get a horse? I don't know.
Doesn't matter. It's fine.
Okay, so we need to talk metagame-wise a little bit about because we're going to go ahead and advance the main plot rather than deal with Kimi's character's thing. So maybe she contacted you guys and said that there's something she has to deal with here, and you guys go on ahead without her, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Sure. So Riley is staying to take charge of her cult people.
Right, or veer them away from being political dissidents so she doesn't get jailed or something.
Man, what fun is that?
Yeah, wasn't she recognized by...
That's
was
right. That's how the episode ended.
Yes, that was the big cliffhanger. Is that one of the original college students that she sort of converted to her cult recognized her at a protest rally,
That's right.
and then they kind of said, I don't remember the hey, I recognize you, and then I think that's where we ended it. So hilarity is ensuing there. So you guys, are you all still on planet? I don't recall. Or are you?
Well, yeah, we were all on the street at that point, and you said, let's just end it there. We were all like...
Okay, all right.
Cliffhangers!
So we watched them take Riley away as they're all, oh, we're going to throw a party.
Right.
And you're invited. And we're like, bye-bye.
And she gives you some kind of, or indicating in some way that she's,
She was fine. Yeah.
that you can go on ahead with the scenario without her.
So is she...
This is on
So-
70 OPUG.
This is on 70 OBH, yes. But in
There's one we
the
marked
empty
up.
thing that... The empty text that we were supposed to... That
I think it was 0904. Well, let me make sure.
I think we marked it up. Is there one over there that has...
That's what I'm looking for.
This one is not. This one has marks on SCR
This one has...
1845.
Yes.
but not up
the
there.
only other ones I have marked on this map... That's the only other one I have marked.
I seem to
is
remember-
SCR 1845.
I seem to remember it was done pretty dramatically.
It's not on any of these.
Okay.
And these are the 3 copies of the map I have.
Okay.
So maybe there was a 4th one. Kimi probably has it. So yeah, if I recall correctly, the ship, the Crick was supposed. Oh, you found it.
The 4th one.
There it is.
There it is. The real MBC 0904. Oh, that's why I have 0904 written here.
There you go.
Okay. Notes are helpful when they're slightly more detailed.
Decipherable. Oops.
It was, what, 3 weeks ago?
Oh, more
A
than
month.
that.
It was a month
It's
ago.
At least a month. It might have been a year.
I really feel like we never actually left. We've just been playing this game, and we think we're leaving.
Right. Okay.
So we're actually here, right?
70 Opiuchi. No. 70 Opiuchi.
Which is this one.
Little blue marble.
No.
70 Opiuchi.
So we can
Okay.
we can jump to where the real MBC is.
Right.
Yeah, let's do that. Now, why were we doing this again? To get for
Because
the jump to...
he's the nano dude.
Okay.
He's the one who
Right.
we believe has information on this ancient nanotechnology.
Right. It's almost like it was like I was standing on the street and 3 months went by and I can't remember anything. Okay. Got it.
I mean, it's like quantum bots, and he's the one who was studying them.
Right.
And we've been following his shadow.
Yes. I remember now.
Then there were false trails
I know. Yeah.
and wrong stars and crystal swirls.
And antimatter,
Boiling hydrogen.
boiling hydrogen, power armor, and a new fast ship. Jump 2. Jump 3?
Jump 3.
3.
Jump 3.
3.
Yeah, you'd had your old ship upgraded to Jump 2. And it has a stealth package.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys go back up
Yeah.
into orbit. Because I think you were docked at the station, weren't you? No, you guys had to take a shuttle in because you're afraid someone's going to recognize that ship. Right.
We were spoofing numbers on our way in. I think we spoofed our old
Yeah,
number, but
I think that was correct. The
Yes.
Vanguard.
And you had it like out past the gas
Right.
giants or something.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we took the shuttle in.
Got it. Okay.
but we had collected a bunch of things to spoof for later if we have to. Like I remember as freighters were jumping out, I was recording their transponders so we could spoof them later. So it looked like we were still in the system. Or I don't know.
Got it. Okay. All right. So you've got like almost a day's journey to get to back out to your ship.
Okay.
So anything you want to do while you're aboard the cramped little shuttle, let me know, or I'll just fast forward to you getting to the ship. And you are at your ship.
Yay!
And you are less one cult leader. And other than that, you have your full complement.
I wonder if Riley will be able to wrangle those college students.
Well, it's a mess. Let's try to clean it up.
I mean, clean it up. Format more destruction and anti-establishmentarianism. Same thing.
I mean, worst case scenario, it gets out of hand and Exodus goes to take care of it. And we're the closest Exodus people in the system, so we'll have to go and take care of it, which basically means just picking Riley up and leaving.
Pretty much. Yeah. On to MBC.
Okay. Let's remember how to do this. Someone needs to
Astrogation roll.
astrogation.
And so I can help you.
Okay.
So that gives you a boon. So it's 3 dice. Pick the top.
And I think your difficulty is a 4 plus the number of parsecs you're jumping. Is that right? Does that sound right?
That I don't
Why are you
remember.
looking at me?
That sounds familiar.
Okay.
But
so
you were
in this case, your difficulty would be a 5.
5. Okay.
only
5?
1 parsec away.
Yeah, it's only 1 parsec.
And I'm using education?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
2 dice.
Yeah,
Well,
well, he's
he has
giving
a
me
boon
a...
Oh,
because of
okay.
the assistance.
So 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay, all right. And you make your way to an empty sector of space. And let me see. You've got a week. So any studying or anything that anyone's doing during
yeah.
this time.
Yep.
Then let's briefly talk about what sort of state you want to be in. You can't do anything to your ship until you're actually back into real space. Mm-hmm. But once you are, you could immediately. There are some things you can immediately do if you want, because you are jumping into a completely unknown situation.
Okay.
Or was it 2 weeks or 1 week?
1 week.
1 week.
So I am 5 out of 8 for learning Russian.
How did I get crap in this book?
Yeah, I got 5 weeks out of 8 weeks for
I-
getting my back suit too.
Going to
Okay.
study more psionicology.
Psionicology.
Because those... Oh, come to me, that's... The situation with the lurkers has made me a little more interested in getting things... knowing more about this.
And
So-
that was that was kind of probably the biggest takeaway from your last encounter with the lurkers aboard the science research station was the fact that they were definitely telepathically communicating with you, and there's something about your ship that was stopping it from happening.
Right, because I couldn't hear them at all.
Yes.
Right.
That's
No
why
one
I
on the
was asking
ship
you
could hear it,
questions.
and you guys couldn't hear it because you and Kimi's character went out in the shuttle, and as soon as you left in the shuttle, boom, you could start hearing them, or they could start hearing you, or vice versa.
Yes, the ship is shielded. It would appear that the ship is shielded from psychic attack as well as outfitted with the stealth package. Which is handy when you have a bunch of bloodthirsty alpha predators
Who can
who
read
are
your
now
mind?
spacefaring.
I just want to reiterate that when we come out of jump, I'm going to have our transponder off and immediately switch to stealth.
Okay.
You know, one of those
Right.
turn on all the switches,
Got it. And that's your prep.
unless it's an automatic thing. you
There
can set up.
probably is a setting where it can, detect within the fraction of a nanosecond once you've entered regular space, and then it
Pops on.
probably has some sort of system
'Kay.
built into it that does that.
Now, I remember correctly, we couldn't see out of the bubble
Correct.
when we're in stealth, but
Correct.
except for really short range or something.
You've got, if I
There's an
recall,
antenna that
there's an
sticks out.
antenna that you
Yeah.
can protrude through the bubble.
And it's kind of like a passive receptor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll make sure that we set up for that when we drop
Well,
out
you
of
could
jump
transmit through that antenna, but doing so is screaming to everyone around.
I mean, it kind of defeats the purpose of being
Right.
in stealth mode.
Right. Okay. So everyone's got all their studying done. Boop.
Yep.
You're back in real space, and you're in a bubble.
That's right, we couldn't see either, right?
Right.
Because it takes away. All right. Well, we'll reel out the antenna as we're bleeding off inertia, and see if there's anything to hear. Passive traffic.
You don't really
Philosoph
bleed off
cricket.
inertia in space.
however it is we leave jump space. However that works.
You're at some kind of vector always. So okay, you come out and you're passively listening. Someone want to make a sensors? Someone have sensors or?
Kimi did. Kimi
Yeah.
was all
Kimmy was our sensor person.
See, she's
She's not.
no, she's a political dissonant.
Yeah.
That'd be under electronics, I assume.
Yeah, just got electronics computers.
Yeah,
Electronics,
Yeah.
sensors, electronic Okay, so if someone's got
Comms might
comms,
work.
yeah, I'll let you do comms at like neg 2.
Four, 5, 6, and is that an intellect?
Yeah,
So that was what did I say? 4, 5, 6, 7.
7. Okay, that's a miss by 3. You're not picking anything up.
Great. What was the difficulty there? So like
10, but it's normally the default is 8. And I said we were at a neg 2, so that would either subtract. Did you subtract from your roll?
No.
Okay,
no.
so I just added to the
you added to
difficulty.
the thing.
Yeah,
So it was I had to hit a 10.
yeah.
So sad.
So you're not really picking. I mean, there's definitely no, and this would be a comms roll, which you already have. There's no radio chatter that you're hearing, either encrypted or unencrypted, and the antenna that's sticking out basically picks up different kinds of EM radiation. And right now, it's besides picking up sort of like the background galactic radiation, it's picking up virtually nothing. At least nothing. I mean, this isn't your forte, so.
I didn't expect much. I mean, if you're going to have a super secret planet, you're not going to want to broadcast it to the world anyway. But I was just sort of, I don't know if there were mines or listening devices on the jump routes. I just didn't want to be surprised. So we can drop the bubble and take a more active look around if you guys are okay with it. Otherwise, we're flying blind, and who knows what we'll hit.
True enough.
Yeah, I'd rather not crash into a ship or an
You're
asteroid.
100% certain there is no star in the system, because that you would have detected from the antenna. And so there isn't.
There
that.
isn't a star here. So whatever he was looking for, it wasn't, or whatever NBC came here for, it wasn't a planet.
Right.
Which, I mean, we heard tell of an ancient ship.
Right.
It's one of the rumors that we heard. Maybe
Right.
that's what's here, and we just can't pick it up, or I can't pick it up. Without Riley, working these sensors is trickier than I thought it would be.
Well, let's drop the stealth bubble. We'll reel the antenna in, and maybe we can just use active sensors. We'll do more passive. Maybe we'll get a better chance without being hobbled by the antenna. And then if that fails, maybe we can just do some active sensing and ping around and see what happens.
I agree, yeah.
If we wake something up, we can always jump out of here. Let's plot a course now so that we have a short time to. We don't have to turn around or anything. We can jump the fuck out if we wake something up.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just plot a course for one of the adjacent.
Let's just reverse where we came from, maybe.
Yeah, we'll just go back to 70 OVH.
We'll just. It's easier. We'll just flip our. Okay.
You're going to drop the bubble?
Yeah.
Okay.
10,000 battle cruisers take aim on you.
Almost immediately, you can see there is something in the distance that's emanating light. The optics on your ship are reasonably good, but they're not. Well, no, this is a military vessel.
Yeah.
Your optics on this thing are probably pretty good. You can kind of zoom in and see what almost looks like a mobile space dock, like a dry dock, but in space, and it's got like lights on it, like it's like a cage thing you put over a ship, and then you can illuminate it and work on it and weld on it.
Yeah,
or whatever.
like
You know what I'm
in,
talking
Star
about?
Trek.
Star Trek, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Star Trek motion picture.
So it looks like it's something like that, and it's illuminating some kind of vessel that is very large. This is like a capital ship-sized vessel.
Is the vessel sort of a very strange shape or in pieces? Does it look like it's got holes in it or chunks missing?
It appears to be intact. It kind of looks more like someone took like 2 or 3 skyscrapers and stacked them next to each other, and then took it off and set it in space. It does not look. Clearly, whatever this is never going to enter an atmosphere without burning up. This is a whatever this vessel is. It's a vessel that stays in space, but it's big. I mean, to compare it to what your modern starships, military starships are, this is probably like a battle cruiser or a heavy cruiser. This is a big ship. Probably has a complement of a few thousand.
How close can we zoom up? Are there people all over it? Are there any markings on the ship?
You can zoom in some more. You're far away from it.
I understand.
So it certainly it's no kind of vessel you would recognize.
Is it
Doesn't look like it's
incredibly ancient and alien?
That's kind of hard to tell because you're probably a couple million kilometers away from it.
Are there any markings on the space dock? Is it Ustas? Is it any kind of insignia for any organization we might know of?
It's a little too far out to be able to tell.
Okay.
You do notice, kind of as you're sort of panning around looking at stuff, there are a couple other vessels near it that have like their running lights on, which is the only reason you can see them because there's no light source here.
Right.
And of course, your running lights are off, I assume.
Yes.
Oh,
Running
yes.
lights are off. We got our stealth rubber paint on.
Right.
Right. All right. Well, let's not ping anything. Let's just keep our ears open and see what we can see. Is there any way we can take a spectrograph of the light coming off of that ship and break it down and see if it's anything, if it's just halogen lights, if it's some sort of radiation source coming out of it? You know what I mean? Like you do with stars, you could be able to take the spectrum and figure out what it's composed of.
Sure. Yeah. You
Run
can
it
do
through our
that.
computers.
Yeah, running. That'd be a good, nice sensors roll right there.
Yeah, it would be, wouldn't it?
And
What the
it-
hell? I'll roll it.
If you don't have it, I'm going to give you the -2 again. Do you have any kind of
I have comms, not comms, electronic computers.
Okay. If you hit any kind, you can. Then it's just -2.
Okay, let's give that a shot.
And otherwise, it's -1,000,000.
10 is your...
9, and then education or intellect.
Intellect is what
Probably
we did last
intellect,
time.
So 10 total.
Okay, so exactly. The light source coming off of it you can tell is whatever typical space age external lights you guys use today, halogen or whatever it is. From the reflection of the light, you can't tell what that hull is made of. It's certainly not any of the metal alloys. You would have recognized those.
Okay.
It's something else. It is also, the ship inside the dock is also emanating some EM radiation. So there is some sort of power plant on board that is operating. And it seems it's not operating. It's definitely like everything's not running, on all cylinders, but there's definitely a power source on board.
Is the EM radiation signatures similar to what Terrans use in their reactors, or is this something?
It is different.
Okay.
It is different. And you also are getting EM radiation signals from there's 4 other vessels around there.
And those line up with the Terran, or
those you can kind of ID. I'm trying to.
no, there's only 4 we see. There's only 4 with running lights on. There
Could be more.
There appears to be. You see what is probably the Crick. I don't remember what kind of ship that was. Science vessel.
Science
wasn't it?
vessel.
Vessel.
Yeah, so that's one of those sort of round, sort of space station-like vessels.
Similar to the one that we found
Yes.
Cordova on.
There's a capital ship, and there's 2 close escorts, probably frigates or destroyers.
So definitely all military. I wonder if there are transponders around. I wonder if there's records in our ship's database about them. So I don't know a little bit
Can we
more.
scan them without notifying our location?
I don't know. Well,
Only
we know one of them's the
passively.
Crick, right?
Well,
One of them is the Crick.
We can
That's
assume.
the name.
there's the naval science research vessels. There's only like 4 of them
Okay.
in all of Ustas Navy. You know where one is. So
It probably doesn't matter who they are.
Well,
If we
there's
know
some-
that one's you said a destroyer, and
you get some kind of capital ship, and then 2 close escorts, either destroyers.
we know what
or
the
frigates.
capabilities of those are. We know they
sure.
carry
Yeah.
X amount of sandcasters
Oh,
and X
yeah.
amount of missiles. And, all right. So, well, I think we found that alien ship, and I think we found our science team, and I think it's all heavily guarded.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
And you're not hearing any chatter. There's like no radio signals traveling. And even like comms on vac suits produce something. And you're not getting anything.
This much silence is creepy.
I don't know what we should do now. Are we going to try to land on the alien ship? Are we going to try to contact the Crick? Are we going to just what's our end game here?
that's a good question. I mean, I don't think we should try to go that unannounced. They'll blow us out of the sky.
They
But
might anyway. Just out of keeping secrecy. you know.
Right.
Sorry, you shouldn't have been here. Like you guys, but sorry. Kaboom.
So what does anyone really like us?
Right?
Also,
Well,
we're on a stolen ship.
Well, do we lose anything by being honest with them?
Our
Well-
ship
Yes.
may very well end up in the brig and taken someplace unpleasant.
The question is, what is a plausible story that we can come up with to give them?
Right. We still had
We're being chased.
Riley's artifact.
No, I'm going to assume she had it with her.
Well, I'm
maybe-
saying,
yeah.
like, it in character. I know we don't, but like, if we'd had that, I never would have thought I'd miss seeing that thing.
Well, we could say we're being chased by space monkeys. That was a couple months ago, right?
No, that was recently. That was on our way here.
Right, but
That was like 3 weeks ago.
2, 3
weeks.
jumps ago.
So each
Probably 2 jumps.
it was 2 jumps ago.
Yeah, because we had to jump to.
Right. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So, all right, just
2
under a
weeks,
month,
yeah.
or a month, or just under. Anyway, it'd be great to do a whole Reaver thing and just have the monkeys chasing us, and we drop into stealth, and the bad guys attack the monkeys, and we go in. But again, even if we go in, what are we looking for? What are we doing here? Are we?
Well, we're there to get Ubisi,
right? But how, I mean,
and clearly he has bigger things in mind. Perhaps we don't need Riley's artifact. I'm sure in her quarters she has notes and hypotheses. Perhaps bring that to him as a
peace offering,
more or less, bait. The carrot, the proverbial carrot, if you will.
We could just say that Dr. from the place that dealt with the nanobots to begin with,
Hutchinson?
Hutchinson,
Mm-hmm.
sent us.
True, but do they know each other?
Yes, that's how we found out about him. You see.
Yeah, they work together.
Oh, that's right.
He was actually stationed on that deep space research station you were on.
That's right. That's
Briefly.
about okay. That's a good angle. I think we can work that.
I wonder if there's any way to get a message specifically to him, so that we don't have to. And maybe we can meet him. He can shuttle, or we can meet him someplace. Because I don't relish the thought of chugging in there in a stolen military ship and
Well, we'd
in a
have to take
super
a
secret
shuttle.
base.
We'd have to take
Yeah,
a
we're
shuttle.
not going to take the ship.
But I'm just trying to figure out a way to get him alone so that we can talk to him. Because then we just want to talk to him. We don't want to get.
Well, we can't. There's no way to contact him
That's what I'm wondering.
by himself
Right.
without knowing him already to get a message to him. Like, we don't even actually know that he's here.
But perhaps just by dropping the name Dr. Hutchinson would be enough to pique his interest, because I'm sure he knows that her whereabouts and her very existence is classified. Either way.
True. So, we send a message.
How is our actual agency viewed by Ustas?
You're troublemakers.
Yeah. So that won't.
Especially right now.
So that won't have any cachet at all.
Although you have definitely, where you are right now in Ustas space, you have outrun the news because of the jump capacity of your ship.
Mm-hmm.
So they may not realize that for probably another month. Because right now you're kind of a real thorn in the side of the Ustas military. And kind of
What
everyone's.
did we ever do to them?
Well, not you guys. Your organization.
Except-
I mean,
Yeah.
I know. I'm just
It was the whole
Playing innocent.
experimenting with nanotech thing and
playing innocent.
right. But you've outrun that news.
So, yeah.
So I wonder if we could just chug in under our own flag,
Mm-hmm.
representing our own, and then we don't, because that way the lie isn't so thick, and just say,
I mean, technically, we're not lying if we say
No.
Dr. Hutchinson sent us.
Right,
Dr.
exactly.
Hutchinson did send us.
yes.
So there's no lie. And if they don't know about Ustas, or they don't know about Exodus taking over experimentation with nanotechnology oversight, then we have no authority that way. We're just 3 people from the Exodus and, our crew from the Exodus Corporation sent by Dr. Hutchinson.
They don't even have to know about Exodus. They can just think that we work with Dr. Hutchinson.
Great. So that's what we'll do.
So what ship do we want to spoof? Do we want to spoof the Vanguard? Or do we want to spoof something else? Because I don't want to just come in on their stolen military ship.
Oh, no, absolutely not.
I kind of like this ship. I don't want it to get taken from us in our
No
first
one's
week of
taking my
owning
ship.
it.
Vanguard.
Okay.
Yeah, makes the most sense.
We'll just make sure that we... and now, is there a way to... I guess if they scan us, it reads as not the Vanguard.
With your stealth scan, who knows what they're going to see?
We should look into that. That's kind of cool if we can... All right. Well,
we hailed them.
right. You're
Okay.
the
We
face
hailed
guy.
them.
I'm
So you gotta. Okay, something planned.
You attempt to open a channel, and a channel does not open, which means that they are either choosing to, or they're basically not responding.
They're just pretending that there's nobody home.
You're sending out a hail, and you're not getting the sort of handshake signal that you would normally
Oh,
get.
by the way, I
and
recommend-
that's very often automated,
Yeah.
and it's not happening.
I recommend we all get the vac suits too, just in case things go sideways.
I mean, yes, but
Well, you do what you want.
No one
I'm going
is
to go get a vac suit.
I don't think anyone is home. I mean, we definitely need to get in vac suits, but I think we should go over there. There's been there's no signal coming out of there at all. With 4 ships, and no signals.
That means they could be actively ignoring us, though.
No, I mean, listen.
Crickets.
Space crickets.
Let's take an hour or two and see if these ships are drifting or if they're actually, moving around or anything.
It does not take long because ships are constantly like doing little adjustments, and you don't see any of that sort of propulsion happening at all.
Okay, that's a really big clue because they should be at least self-correcting to stay in one place, and there would at least be chatter back and forth between the ships
Well, that's
that
what
we
I'm
would
saying.
pick up. Yeah. Okay. All right. Do we want to stealth up and sneak in, or do we want to just boldly go?
I think we should take a shuttle. I don't think we should take the whole ship.
Agreed.
Spacewalk.
I wish I was good
No
enough
more
for this.
space jump. Just jump from our ship to their ship.
Yeah.
How hard can that be?
Can we wait 3 more weeks so I can good for this power armor? I can't use it yet. Okay. Well, again, I'm thinking maybe we leave somebody here on turrets to watch the shuttle. Send 2 people over, me on turrets, and
Well,
that way, if one of these ships comes alive,
You've got NPC crew too.
we do have NPC crew.
Yeah.
I always forget about them. Yeah. All right. We're going to be the OA team then. Let's do it.
We'll put Attila and someone who's not Two Crows, because we determined Two Crows is badass, but he's not necessarily
Right.
combat
He's
ready.
not pew badass.
No.
No,
He's kind of been the default
Medic.
guy on the
He's not-
bridge
he's not
when
Pew
you guys
Crows.
aren't there.
he's our spot.
Yes.
Crows.
Oh, Pooja. Yes.
Pew Crows.
What did you say?
He's not Pew Crows.
Okay. So you guys are taking the shuttle over?
Yeah.
We'll take the shuttle over.
To the crick.
Let's aim for the crick.
That's
'cause
the science of it. The big sort
Yes,
of
we're gonna aim
giant
for the
spoke.
science.
Yeah.
The giant wheel.
We'll be
Like
less
that one,
likely to.
like the one I drew.
Yeah.
Like the
on
one-
the other side.
Yeah.
For
Like
those
the
of you
one
following
that
along at home.
tainted the one that tainted our map to begin with.
Right. Okay. You get to there. There's definitely power. You can see lights on inside, running lights and stuff like that, and you can get a signature from the power plant. But you don't see any sort of like course corrections or anything of the sort. And there's no one like going back and forth.
There
on
was no
shuttles.
hailing, no warning as we got closer.
No.
That's bizarre.
Now that we're closer, can we use shorter range, more powerful comms, or what we had back there is
What you have back there is plenty.
plenty?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think, now that we're closer, can we scan for life?
Yes. That would be another sensors roll.
Oh, goddamn it.
Someone else make the default.
I don't have the intelligence to back it up.
Can I do the comms roll again and just take a -2?
Yeah.
Okay. 7. No, only an 8.
An 8. Okay. Your readings are inconclusive.
Well, okay. I'm gonna get out my gun and drop my vac suit thing, and let's just get up to a airlock and stick our nose in. There's nobody's answering. We're gonna have to
No
go.
knocking, no
We're gonna do
one's-
this the hard way.
Okay.
Shoot the umbilical out, make sure it seals.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, we don't have to hack our way in this time. That worked so well.
I mean, technically it worked, therefore it worked well.
Yeah, well, except for the security bots.
We took care of them eventually.
Well, that was also a space station in mothballs out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
So you're going to do a little extra to protect that from passersby.
Sure.
But you get up to it, and there's you're going to have to fiddle with it a little bit to get it to open it. There's not just like an open button or a cycle button on the outside because it is a military vessel.
Mm-hmm.
And if there are borders, you want to at least slow them down.
Well, we have time, so we'll take our time to make sure that we do this.
Okay.
Correctly.
Add a bonus die.
What do you want me to use?
Whatever you use for.
I think last time, because I was opening it manually, it was a mechanical roll.
Okay, that's
but
fine.
I
That
think
sounds
this
all
time
right.
is electronics.
There's always a mechanical override on
Oh.
airlocks.
So I got
always.
mechanic 1. And what am I adding to it?
The hand gesture really
you
did
would
there.
probably add your int,
Okay, that's a 0.
and then add a bonus die.
5.
bonus die?
Yeah. Is it a boon? They call it a boon now?
There you go. It's an
Well,
11.
yeah. You basically take the top
12.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A boon die. Okay.
It's supposed to a boondoggle.
It's like
We're boondocks, yeah.
and door opens up. And like right in the middle of the hallway is an empty vac suit.
Well, I'll examine it. Does it look like it was ever worn? Does it look like somebody was in it and got dissolved? Is it like
Kind of the latter.
like Ripley's Aliens?
There is you can see what looks like some dust or something inside of it,
Does this look suspiciously like nanotech got a hold of organics and
like
ate
gray
it all up?
sludge.
Yeah.
Little.
But
Could
is
be.
there...
But the vac suit's intact.
Yeah, and last time we dealt with the quantum bots, they ate everything.
All
It wasn't
matter was
just,
destroyed.
It was not just organics. It was
Right.
the ships, everything in them. They ate everything.
Right.
But there's gray sludge
Inside the vac suit, yes.
But the vac suit is still sealed.
Yes. And like inflated too, because there's air inside.
Yeah, so we're like looking into the frost in the
Right.
helmet, and we're like, is the sludge like moving or doing anything? It's just
Nope. It's just like
inert.
a puddle.
Dear God.
Yeah. Well, that would explain the radio silence. If we can get to a terminal, maybe we can download some security footage and see what happened here.
Let's do it.
Computer, can you call up a drug? Can you give us a heads up on the floor plan layout so we know where we're going, what we're looking for?
Identity not detected.
Oh. Can you ask?
Computer, this is the captain speaking.
No, are you on your ship or are you on the...
No, we're just using. I'm talking to
The
our
science
ship through
Our ship.
through
See if we can
our-
get
Oh,
a-
your ship.
Yeah, get
Okay,
a blueprint of this type of vessel so we can figure out where the bridge might be or where...
Whoop. In your headset. And that it would have responded to you.
Okay, that's what. And then have it plot a little.
And if you're wearing battle dress, it'd just show up in your
I'd
heads-up
love
display.
to.
Oh, you don't have a heads-up display? I bought a heads-up display.
I don't know. I'm just saying, like, for those of you who aren't neurologically connected to our ship,
Okay.
So yeah,
you point the way then.
It brings it up and it gives it to you on like a data pad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have it, and there's the nearest computer terminal is in the main thoroughfare, which is the wheel, and it's
All right.
to the left for
We'll follow the red line.
A while.
Follow the blinking red line. And
when you get out of the airlock. I'm assuming you recycle it, and close it up, and you see like some uniforms laying on the ground
it's just gonna be very careful to avoid
with
them.
gray sludge coming out of them or infusing them.
So the vac suit didn't have any kind of tear in it, so it wasn't something that
No.
they were exposed to because the vac suit tore. It was something that was already inside them that caused them to dissolve.
Yeah, it was, and the vac suit was inflated, so there's definitely no breach in the vac suit.
Okay.
But you probably, to get to the nearest terminal, you probably pass 3 or 4.
Does it look like they were running? Does it look like they were in a firefight?
It's hard to tell.
Are there weapons out and weapons around them, or are they all holstered?
It's literally no weapons holstered.
No holes in the hull, no carbon scoring.
No. And it's piles of clothes and belongings and gray sludge.
This just gets worse and worse.
Do their uniforms have identification on them?
Yeah, Ustas.
Yeah, just
It is a division of the Ustas Navy that you don't recognize.
Well, if they're names, I'm looking for Ubisi. Like, see if he's still
Oh,
alive.
yeah, they have the
Okay.
little name badge. You're going to have to kind of dig through them a little bit to do that.
let me know when we see a really high-ranking officer.
Okay.
Pile of clothes, and I want to see if I can get his officer's badge, his
Got it.
ID that we might be able to use to access stuff.
We can kind of wander around some more, and eventually you find probably like a lieutenant or something like that.
Lieutenant or a captain or something.
Well, the
Anything.
captain's probably going to be on the bridge. He's going to probably be in that center
Okay.
section.
Well, if I can get to the ID fairly easily, I'll try to do that. The edge of my gun and slide it on the floor and make sure there's no
Gray ooze on it.
gray ooze on it.
Okay, you can do that.
We might need this.
Good thinking.
It's a science fiction version of black pudding.
Oh. Oh.
Now, are we in like emergency? Is like red lights and such,
Oh, yeah.
or is it? So it's
Yep. There's they're it's not red lights, but there's like you can see on like some monitors around that there's like a containment alert.
and the oxygen level is
There's Atmo and everything?
Atmos okay?
Oh no, I'm sorry, no, there is no ammo.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So let's go to a terminal then.
Okay. And you are at a terminal, and you have one of the officers' ident cards, a lieutenant.
Make computers check. See if we can get some information.
Yeah, I'll give you a boost with that. I have comps and you have comps, so I'll give you a boon.
Yeah.
And then
Come on, guys. 6, and then with intellect 7.
Wait, you don't have comms?
I have computers, not comms.
no, that's okay. We're on a computer. It's a
Right.
computer terminal.
Yeah.
Yes. No,
I just didn't
know,
roll
you
an 8.
said-
I got
sorry.
I got a 7. Yeah.
What are you looking for?
Looking for
Security feed, right?
a
See what
black
happened?
box, security feed, any kind of file, like basically any captain's log, anything that would have been.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah, you really need to get a success to get to the captain's log or something like that. But you can probably see that there are like security dispatches. That there is some sort of nanobot threat on board the ship, and one of the last dispatches you get is an alert to get suited up because they're going to vent the atmosphere.
I'd really like to see some of this footage, but it's as we suspected that somehow the nanobots, probably from that ancient Hulk, got brought on board here.
Did it
Well,
look?
those were quantum bots.
Did it look like
the
a
ancient
courting-
ones were quantum, and then the nanobots were surrounding the quantum bots and controlling them, like keeping them contained until they didn't.
Did it look like, according to the log, that they were able to get rid of the Atmo?
Oh no, there's no atmosphere.
No, but I mean, like, were they able to push all the Atmo out of the ship, and now these nanobots are floating around in space that we just...
Well, your ship didn't turn to sludge,
True.
and but it looks like it was a desperation move from what you're reading. Whether it was successful or not, I don't know. You saw a guy in a vac suit that isn't a guy anymore. He's kind of a sludge. So
Here's a really interesting question. Can you see what the timestamps are on this, like when it first happened? And see if it lines up with when the event happened to us on the other station?
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I'll look at the timestamps on the reports and the alerts.
no, it looks like this happened maybe 5 or 6 days ago.
Oh, wow.
Way more recently.
Oh, that makes sense, because what happened to us was over a month ago, and he
Yeah,
left.
but I don't know if it was. Yeah, if it was. I don't know. It occurred to me that maybe it happened to all of them all at once.
But UBC wasn't
But
here
that
yet.
was the
That's
thing.
true.
NBC wasn't here, and also, if this was quantum bots that were covered in nanobots,
Right.
and then the nanobot portion of that failed, these ships wouldn't be here.
That's true.
Right. It's a different monster. Well, let's keep going. There must be more information on the bridge.
Yep. Let's make our way to the bridge.
Well,
Okay.
do we want to do that, or do we want to go to the science lab?
Bridge first.
We'd rather go to the bridge and see what happened before we go poking around.
Okay.
Okay. You can get up to the bridge. There's a security thing there, but you've got the lieutenant's card, so you can get in.
Okay.
And there's a crew complement of like 5 people on the bridge, and they're all like puddles of sludge, and their uniforms, and the captain's uniform.
Anyone
as well?
Anyone wearing a lab coat looks like our doctor?
Not on the bridge. You saw a few of those in the outer.
I'll check them to make sure.
Because that's
any
where
of
the
them-
science stuff happens. Yeah.
I'll check them as we go by to make sure none of them are our missing doctor.
Okay. No, you get several names, but not his.
All right. Is there easier access to, say, the captain's log on the bridge?
Sure.
Okay. Can we see
You
what
probably
happened?
use the captain's actual card. Maybe that will
Yeah.
ease the.
Right. Okay. You discover that at some point about 6 days ago, very quickly, all 4 ships started having problems with some sort of nanotechnology, and people just started melting. And it happened very quickly. Within an hour, what you see was the state of things.
Almost coordinated. Like, it was all at the same time.
Right.
So do those logs show any like precipitating event? Like where the nanobots might have come from, what they were doing right before it happened.
Yeah, like what
Well,
set them off?
There's most of his logs before that is logging traffic of shuttles going from the derelict in the space dock to the station, and just the typical traffic back and forth. So it's probably safe to assume it came from the derelict.
So did it happen unilaterally across all the ships, or did
All
it
of
start
the
at one
ships.
ship and spread out?
All of the ships, it started
Simultaneously.
virtually simultaneously.
Do they have like a mission statement, like a mission log that basically says what they were doing here in the first place? Their general.
Yeah, the designation for this mission is ADS-2, which is Alien Derelict Site 2.
Okay. Safe to assume that whatever liquefied all of these people came from the wreck.
I'd say that's accurate.
The science labs might have more info. And maybe our good doctor kept some notes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next best bet.
Is there any way we can download all of this stuff from here to our ship?
I was just going to ask that. Can we get that file transfer so we have?
Yeah, make a easy. Your target numbers of 4.
Our
for
military
computers.
computer talk to their military computer. They'll
Of
shake
course,
hands
now I roll a
and
9.
Boom. You have the complete data logs.
We can
to
probably.
everything.
I feel safer perusing that in our own ship than standing here in the.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Maybe our NPC crew can take care of it, or even the computer can sort through it and see if there's anything it can tell us.
Who knows?
Run a couple algorithms through there and see if it.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll just send that off to Two Crows.
Okay.
Have them start writing some. I can't think of the word. Programs or searches.
Algorithms.
That's algorithm.
But-
That's the word.
You
But
know-
also, I want to know more about who these people are, because it's a branch that we don't know about, and what
Mm-hmm.
their mission statement is, and because I'd like to know a little bit more about who it is we're pissing off.
Is there any insignia on the inside of the ship or on the computers that is some kind of organization?
Well, yeah, like I said, on the uniforms themselves, this is a branch of the Ustas Navy that you had not heard of
Okay.
before. The uniforms don't look dissimilar to the security personnel from the Deep Space Research Station.
Okay.
Oh.
What was your question?
Oh, I was just going to say if Two Crows could go through the data and get us anything that we need, and then one of our other NPC crew could pull up any information on this branch
Okay.
of the Ustas Navy, like if anything's publicly available.
Okay.
And then one of us could do I could do a deeper investigation when we get back to our vessel.
Okay.
I would also like somebody to do a quick scanner modification so that it can detect this quantum technology if it's on us,
Ooh, that's
on
tough.
our
I
ship.
mean, we'd be dead.
Well, no, I just don't want to take it onto the ship and have it sitting around and then it snap on again at some point.
That's tough.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
They don't have any data on this ship that we can then use on our ship to, or is it a whole modified scanner thing?
One of the problems that happened on the Deep Space Research Station was when you started scanning the bots,
They woke up.
they woke up. But there's also the fact that your ship is just not going to have the technology to scan for this kind of stuff. I mean, on this science station, there's probably that sort of equipment on here, but on a military ship that's not a science vessel, no,
Okay.
you're just not going to have that stuff. You blow things up. You don't look at shit unless you're looking at what to blow up.
Maybe on our way down to the science vessel, we can find one of those scanners like they had on the space station. We'll take it back with us. I don't want to wake these things up, but I think I'd like to at least look at this tech, and maybe we can use it in some other way. Remember they had scanners that they were using to detect the
Right.
nanobots
Because
on
they
the-
swept your ship.
as they swept
Right.
our ship. Maybe they have that tech here. We can get one of those, and maybe we can deconstruct it, and maybe we can turn it into a weapon, or maybe we can use it to, or maybe we can. We have time. Maybe we can use it to find out if we have. You know what I'm saying? Let's just
Yeah,
grab one and see what we can do with
I
it.
think we should definitely find out if we have anything on us, but the idea of manipulating this into a weapon kind of terrifies me.
Of course, but the whole thing terrifies me.
All right, let's head to the science labs and see if they have any information there.
Oh, you're actually able to look on the bridge. There's like a directory, and you can actually see. Okay, there's Dr. Mbisi's office or
Okay.
his lab.
Perfect.
Yeah.
We'll head there.
Okay. You get to his lab, and it's a very large room, and there is like all kinds of crazy containment things with what looks like, obviously it's not glass, but it sort of looks like a glass case that's maybe like 1 foot cube, and then there's like fields around it and walls around it and like vacuum seals around it, and then laying on the ground is a pile of clothes, and you can see BC on above the left-hand pocket, and but there's a status display above this box that says containment
Breach.
No, there's a green light saying all is good.
Okay. Does it say anything about what's in it?
Well, there's next to there's like a console and a desk in front of it, sort of like the command console for the thing, where Mbisi's remains are, and there is an actual notebook like with papery writing things on it.
Oh, charming.
Yeah.
I'll take that. Read that later.
I'm going to take his ID
Okay.
as well. He might have something that's not in the mainframe here. We should probably check the terminal.
Well, I agree. We came here to get his information anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shame we couldn't get it from him
Alive.
personally, but might as well not leave empty-handed.
I really want to know what's in that. Does it look empty? Is it like above us or something, or can we look into it?
You can look right into it.
Is there anything in there?
It looks empty, but it doesn't seem to be empty because there's a whole bunch of like security protocols listed, and it says status okay, status okay, status okay, status okay.
Well, if it's quantum tech, you're not going to see it, right?
Correct. Unless it's a lot of it.
There's not like some really cool Terry Gilliam giant spyglass thing you can swing in front of it so it zooms in on it.
No.
All right, I'll quickly read the page that his notebook is flipped to.
Okay.
Does it give any information on what's inside the case?
What is written is very hastily scrawled. The containment is aboard the derelict.
All right, so we know we're not going.
The containment is aboard the derelict.
Well, unless it means the means to contain all of this is aboard the derelict.
Or perhaps it's what is being contained is aboard the derelict.
We should go back to our ship and we'll review the rest of his notes and see exactly what he's talking about.
Yes.
We have nothing but time now. Not to worry about those ships shooting us out of the void.
Space.
You can say sky.
Sky?
It's just shooting you out of the sky to another part of the sky.
Sure.
Okay, so you guys head back to your ship.
Did I see any of those scanners on my way in or out of here?
Yeah, it's like a big sort of like a push cart thing that's got like a bunch of drawers on it that has all kinds of esoteric scanners on it that they seem to look. At least you're not an expert on the ship, but
No.
it seems to look similar to the stuff that they used at the Deep Space Research Station.
It doesn't say quantum nanotech scanner on the side?
No, it does not.
Well, I'll take that with us.
Okay.
Maybe Two Crows can make heads or tails of
Well,
it.
perhaps we should scan ourselves now.
Yeah, so we can release the nanobots once again.
Right? I'm concerned
Or
about
the
it waking
quantum
them.
bots.
I'm sort of concerned about it aggravating the quantum bots.
Don't make a man.
Because, like, what happened before was that as soon as they started scanning,
They were
the
awoken.
nanobots were programmed to self-destruct, which just let all the quantum bots loose.
True.
We know that the quantum technology currently is not in a feeding cycle because these ships still exist. And they wouldn't. They eat everything.
But I feel it has to be something different because didn't we determine that the nanobots encasing the quantum bots were
Made on
man-made,
Terra?
made on
Yes.
Terra? So unless this was the location the quantum bots were coming from, and they were encasing them here,
Well, the other thought is there's another source of these quantum bots, and maybe the other quantum bots behave differently. Maybe the other quantum bots eat all matter. This just eats organic matter. From
well, the
ship.
nanobots ate organic matter. Remember the lead
Yeah.
guitarist from boiling hydrogen, and that was when it was still contained inside the nanobot. We might have found
The
the souls.
sciencey stuff is beyond me. We're gonna have to have, but either way, I don't want to aggravate these things. I know what you're saying. I think we're covered in them, and I think it's too late now. But I really don't want to wake them up.
Right. My biggest intent was bring them back to our ship.
That's what I'm saying. And I'm saying maybe we can figure out a way to use this scanner where we can passively see if we're covered in them, rather than actively zapping them and making them. I don't know. But I'd rather have this equipment with us, and maybe we can do something with it. Can you grab me something?
Sure. What do you want?
Well, I don't know. Water. That was one of sparkling water of some sort.
Okay.
I don't know.
Very citrus.
I'm really good at shooting things, so I mean, this is really sort of out of my comfort zone.
I can't negotiate with them.
You might, considering the things that we've been negotiating with that I didn't think we could negotiate with. Who knows?
Is there a decontamination system or unit or it's something that basically, if we manage to have the nanobots on us, we can try to get them off us for re-entering our ship? Or do we have decontamination as an option on our ship already?
For nanobots, probably. For quantum bots, no.
Right.
That's kind of the whole problem
Right.
that's going on.
But I think, based on what we're seeing, because the nanobots were able to take out organic matter, because that's how the guy from boiling hydrogen got destroyed.
Right.
So it theorized that the nanobots, they would still be nanobot form, not quantum bot form, because the quantum bots were destroying all matter. So in theory, if we have the stuff to contaminate ourselves of nanotechnology, we should still be okay. In theory.
I'm not following his logic, but
That would exist on this
Okay.
on this space station.
clearly your intellect is dizzying.
On the science vessel. They probably have something like near the airlock that just does that.
Okay.
Great. So we'll go through that way, decontaminate, and leave.
Yep.
And you make it onto your ship.
Perfect.
It gives you a clean bill of health. And
Oh, good. I want to leave it.
now, all right, what are you bringing with you now? You're bringing the notebook. Mm-hmm. You transferred over the data files
And the scanners.
and the scanner.
Yeah. And
scanner
any files from
suite.
UDC's computer, his personal computer that was in his office.
Okay, yeah. He had like a little PDA or something.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a thumb drive or anything on him.
No, he just had like a little tablet.
And, okay.
He could hold a shit. Come on,
Sure.
It's a space tablet.
It's a
You can hold
space
enormous.
tablet that can hold entire galaxies worth of info.
Right. Probably 1,000 movies.
1,000?
Right. Probably every Friends episode
Billions.
ever.
That's billions. That's a lot.
He was smart, but we never said he had taste.
Bingo. All right, so we're back on our ship.
You are back
Yeah.
on your ship.
Great. So we'll read the notebook.
Okay. To synopsisize the notebook, he basically was sent here to try to figure out what various alien technologies did. He basically, what you've got is basically kind of his diary.
Okay.
Right off the bat, he says the first time he went on the ship, it was very obvious that the automated systems on this ship are still active. He said it appears to be self-repairing, and he estimates by some like carbon dating he did. I don't know if it'd be carbon dating because you're talking about in space, you're talking about on Earth, but I don't know. I'm not sure. But he estimates the ship could be near 1 million years old. And he said that there were desiccated corpses of at least 3 different species that he saw. In what he referred to as the engineering section of the ship, that is where these automated systems were most active. They're primarily, it appeared that they were repairing themselves and maintaining themselves, and then in addition to that, they were doing other things. There was readouts and stuff that obviously no one can read. There were linguists on board trying to see if they could figure out what the language was or determine what the language might be saying. But that's going to be real hard when you're not actually interacting with something.
Right.
He mentions that in the thing. It did have what appeared to be a quantum bot weapon deployment system ventral side of the vessel.
And that was like a self-defense mechanism?
No, like an offensive weapon.
Okay.
Something that like probably like a planetary bombardment system, that sort of thing. And that that self-replicating systems were down there as well. Seemed to be repairing containment facilities, and that's where he's writing. You see in his writings, he mentions the fact that the technology does exist to contain these things in an absolutely dormant state, which is something that you've never been able to do. Right? Everything that you've done, regardless of how cold you've made these things, they're still at least a little bit active. Mm-hmm. But they're apparently actually in a static state in the containment device on this ship, and there were maintenance, not robot. I guess robot's the right word, but they're basically they're maintenance systems maintaining this containment system, and that seemed to be a priority for whatever expert system runs the self-repair system on this vessel. That seems to be first thing to check off.
Right. Were the maintenance droids aggressive towards the science officers?
It doesn't mention anything about aggression at all.
And it doesn't mention anything about them breaching that containment or...
No, well, they were studying at the time. That what they were... He specifically was... According to the notebook, he was specifically sent there to figure out how the containment system worked, to see if it could be replicated for the
for all these Delta stations.
For ADS Site 1 samples.
Mm-hmm.
Just give the location of ADS Site 1.
Yeah, it's the thing on the map.
It's the Dead Star.
Oh,
Elder
Alpha
Star
Star Alpha. Okay.
He does mention in there, which is something you've never heard on the news before, that there's a dead planet and there's a dead star. There's also a derelict spacecraft there, according to his notebook.
Okay.
But not this. It's a small vessel.
Well, that's interesting. Are we equipped to go in there and get this thing and get this information? Or
It totally looks like he's going to be sick.
it does. It absolutely does. Or should we call in the wolf?
I think we should find out more. Let's look through the rest of the notes and
Okay.
see if they somehow tripped another defense system or something. Where these... If it's not quantum bots that took them out, the quantum bots are all still contained, then what tripped the nanobots? Where did the
That's my
nanobots
concern.
come from?
Like why did they all of a sudden start liquidating people?
So let's see if we can figure anything out
Right, that's-
about that in the...
I want to watch the security footage and see what exactly happened and when it happened and what happened, what made it happen.
Okay.
So the other thing that's interesting and we might want to consider is we've got a whole fleet of empty ships here at our disposal.
Nope. We have a ship. We already stole
I
a
do like
ship.
the idea of Commodore Hawkins.
I kind of like the idea of at least taking these ships and hiding them somewhere so that we
They're
have
pretty
access to them if
hidden
we need them.
now.
Well,
But, like, they're going to be, unlike our ship, the
No.
stealth vessel that no
I
one
mean-
is looking for because they docked it at a very, like, at an empty, abandoned research station. People know and will be looking for all the rest of these.
you misunderstand me. I don't actually want to take them. I just want to move them.
That is taking
Turn
them.
off
That
all
is
the info
literally taking
and
them.
hide them somewhere so that we can use them later if we have to assemble a fleet.
Literally taking them.
We're just
That's
keeping them out of
exactly
harm's
what that
way.
is.
I mean, it is technically legitimate salvage.
No, especially not when they've been infected with
Well, no, I'm not saying that it's good
like
legitimate
some kind
salvage.
of ancient technology self-defense weapon. We don't need them, and we don't have the crew to pilot them.
I definitely don't have the crew to pilot.
But we might need them. I'm just
spare
Then we
parts?
have resources to pull in without
right.
getting into it any deeper with Ustas than we have to.
We can put that information to the wolf at least.
computer. Would this be legitimate salvage?
Uh,
The computer says,
Good start.
working.
Outside of the purview of military law is not within my expertise.
The military computer, still military, all the way. Yeah, can't tell you that.
It's a big fat.
No.
Big
That's what it
fat.
says.
It's a big fat. Stu is not taking a side here. Stu wants you to make your own decisions. I'm just saying, we'll let the wolf know what we found. Mm-hmm. If he wants to send a crew out here to actually be able to pilot and ferry these away, but our crew can't do it.
No.
We literally don't have the crew to do
No, that's
this.
what I was thinking. But one of us would have to take a shuttle, fly one somewhere and hide it, then go back and get another one, fly
If these
one
aren't
somewhere, hide it.
solo ships, you have to have a crew to pilot them. It's not like one person can just pilot
But
it
it's
to
just
a place.
impulse power. We're not going to jump it anywhere.
Well, a capital ship probably has a crew of over 1,000.
One guy can drive a aircraft carrier, right?
No.
No,
That's not how that works.
But
No,
literally not
because
how that
you've
works.
got to have people in the engine room making sure the engines are producing the power that needs to be produced.
well, they just monitor it, but the guy still hits the throttle that he moves, and then the engines spin up and go, and then he pulls it back and it stops. Now, if there's something breaks, you've got the people in the engine room.
No,
and
that's
sometimes
not.
just
They're
saying.
not
All
just
right.
there if things break.
Whose side are you on?
look at
The side of things that actually make any degree of sense. One person cannot pilot an aircraft carrier. That is fact.
look at Star Trek 3.
Right.
Kirk had to have 4 people aboard the Enterprise at least to get it move anywhere.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What did Scotty do though?
He was in the engine room.
Going.
was
Shut up,
turning the
blow!
he's balancing power couplings and shit. He's doing stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
That's just not
I'll let you
exciting.
guys
So you don't
talk
show
me
it.
out of it.
Yeah, so let's move over the tapes and see if we can find the moment where things went sideways for them and see if we can figure out what happened.
Okay. You kind of scour through the tapes, and you can spend a great deal of time because no one's going to disturb you. You can't find it. There is not one. You're watching footage from the airlocks in some of the ships. You're watching footage from remote cameras on the derelict. People are coming and going. You don't see anything that stands out to you as that's the moment that someone fucked up and something happened. You're not seeing anything like that. You can see the footage when it starts, and there's literally nothing threatening going on anywhere when it starts.
So where did it start? Where exactly did
It started simultaneously on all 4 ships. And there was, I would say, if you look at a survey of all of the security cameras on all 4 ships, which obviously we'll kind of fast forward and assume that you were able to get that off the other ships, because eventually you would. A percentage of the ship, maybe 25-30% of the ship, just immediately started kind of crumbling.
And how quickly did it affect them? Seconds?
30 to 45 seconds, something like that. But it seemed to be spreading pretty quickly. So you've got one shot down a hallway on the science vessel, and there's a bunch of people kind of meandering around. All of a sudden, someone starts screaming, and they kind of start disintegrating.
Okay.
And within 30 or 45 seconds, when they're almost completely gone, the other people around are starting to do it. Some of them are trying to run and falling, and it looks like it spread very quickly.
So at the earliest timestamp that happens across all ships, can I look at the feed from the lab and see what was happening in that containment vessel from the lab at that point?
Nothing.
The places where on all 4 ships where things are starting to go sour, are they in a similar space? So it's all different aspects of the ship, all different parts.
And it almost seems like the people it started with seemed to be fairly evenly distributed throughout the ships.
Okay.
And it was about a quarter of them that it started with. And it was like that, boom. These people start.
Thanos.
Right, exactly.
Solved it.
Except 100% rather than 50%.
Right.
Spoilers.
Oh.
It's literally stated in the truth.
It is.
And there was a Google thing for it.
Yeah.
there
Where
was.
you could click
It
on the
was so
glove.
good.
The
That was
web page went away. That was awesome.
So it got a signal
And there were
from somewhere.
no recordings from on the derelict ship.
Yeah, there are recordings from there too.
And nothing was going on the derelict ship either?
Nope, except people disintegrating.
Where were they? What were they doing when they happened?
You had people who were like trying to decipher some of the languages on some of the readout screens. You've got people who were trying to study the containment fields. You've got people who were looking at the weapon systems. I mean, all parts of the ship, because the ship. I mean, you can even hear like chatter amongst people saying that I think this might be a Jump 6 warp or a Jump 6 engine, and it seems to be using antimatter, which obviously you've seen once before. And but there are people all over the ship studying all aspects of it, but you didn't see anyone who was doing something that's like, what happens if I press this button or anything like that.
No, but when they were studying the containment field, like, they weren't running any active tests on it or anything like that?
Mm-mm. No, it's literally like opening panels and looking inside and trying to figure out what different circuits are and what they might be doing, things like that. Scanning them with sensors and things like that to see what kind of radiation they're producing. I mean, those people especially were being careful. The people who weren't being careful are like the people who were like studying the spinal weapons on the ship, because the ship has 2 like giant Mason cannons on it or something, one fore and one aft, and those guys are like trying to take it apart. We're going to take the shit with us. But the people who were dealing with the quantum bot deployment system on the bottom of the ship, they were being super, super careful. You can tell.
Okay.
These weren't like gung ho military. Let's do whatever we want and take everything we can get. They're like, let's first make sure we don't murder ourselves.
Too late for that now.
Right.
Great. So there's really nothing to say what happened here, except everyone started disintegrating.
Yes, and it happened simultaneously.
Yeah, some signal, some event, something that we can't detect, told them to do this, and then it turned it off again.
Now one thing you can tell is that every person who was in that first wave of disintegration had been on that derelict.
Right, so they had
they were in contact with it. They picked it up from the derelict, and then whatever signal went out, that's how that happened.
Right.
Now that's interesting enough. I wonder if there was like a secondary defense system on the ancient ship. And they inadvertently, like, in their tests or whatever, like, maybe nothing that we're recognizing, but maybe they tripped something by mistake.
maybe just being away from the ship and being away from whatever systems held it in check, being away from it for a long time, it turned on. But why isn't it still on, too? Obviously, it turned back off again.
There were people disintegrating aboard the derelict as well.
Oh.
Okay, I'll admit I have no idea what to do now.
Well, I feel like we should call in the wolf. I kind of feel like we're in over our heads.
He's 2 months away.
Yeah, he is. I know.
I mean, like, this isn't like, oh, hey, we just report back and get somebody to tell us what to do.
Right.
Like, we're so far away, and we'd have to refuel again before we got to.
We might be able to siphon some fuel off of some of these guys. But yes, your point is well taken.
Just out of idle curiosity, taking one of Riley's pamphlets, looking at the writing that she's put on there, like, oh, it's writing of the ancients, and ooh, and seeing the footage that we're seeing from the derelict ship. Does it look like she had a leg to stand on? Like, is it the same?
Absolutely.
Oh, good.
I'll bet if we get on that ship, we'll find things that look similar to our artifact,
I'm
too.
sure.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, it was an ancient artifact. It's not like that was ever in question. The question is, what does it do? Besides possibly interact with the quantum bots.
Which it did.
It did. And then possibly control them to some degree. So the bigger question is, in the footage, because we know it was an ancient thing, so the writing would obviously be similar.
Well,
and
make sure it was the right civilization.
And then are there any other things that look like that artifact on the derelict ship?
You can't really tell. All the remote cameras on board the ship are on work sites where they're like working on major systems, and you don't see anything like that necessarily.
Because that artifact interacted with the quantum bots.
Yeah, or at least it had a reaction to them.
Yes,
at least
like it had some kind of
The
interaction.
artifacts got warmer, and the nanobots started acting. They were more active.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Okay.
Didn't somebody say something like, "Oh, you have one of those? It emits electromagnetics." Am I mishearing something or misremembering something?
I don't remember
I don't remember that either.
Well, we have two choices. We either head back, or we get on that ship. Just floating around out here isn't going to do us much good. And if we get on the ship, we can at least maybe download or find and maybe understand what the control to contain this stuff. And maybe we even just get it even if we don't understand it, and somebody else can figure it out later. Or we go back, get Riley, and wait for our superiors to come and tell us to get back here and get on the ship. I don't know.
My concern about going on that ship is everybody who died
I know.
initially went on that ship. I'd rather not become soup.
I know, but
Well, let's see if we can piggyback on any of the research that they had done. So we have the things that we have not gone through yet are any of the actual notes that the scientists were taking when they were working on it.
Mm-hmm.
So were they able to decipher any of the languages? What conclusions had they come to before the event happened?
They had made a small amount of progress. The linguists had, so they believe they have identified some patterns that indicate similar concepts to patterns in human speech. Mm-hmm. You're talking an alien language without being able to have any feedback with it, and you're trying to correlate
It's
it
like
to
when
a
they
human.
were deciphering the hieroglyphs, I know.
Right. But worse, because that's all people. These are aliens. So, but there's some concepts that seem that they think they've figured out. But they're like in the real rudimentary stages of we know how to say gaga goo goo. Basically. A little more than that. As far as the most amount of research that was being done was in the containment fields, and you can see that they've got some working schematics in there, but they're not complete. There's holes like wiring diagrams that go to a question mark because they know there's a thing here, but no one knows what it is or can figure out what it might be. So, but there's also notes, especially in BC's notebook, that there are self-replicating maintenance machines down working on the containment stuff all the time. There seem to be backup units down there as well. There's a whatever this device is plugs into this thing, and there's 2 or 3 more that it's built over the last couple centuries that are sitting there, and it's working on another one.
Okay. Can we send a drone down there or something?
Damn, if you have drones.
Did the science vessel have a drone?
is there
Is there a probe? Can we send a probe?
is there any notes about what this nanotech
Probably.
builds this stuff out of?
It's synthesizing the materials it needs from other materials. It's literally using nanotech.
So,
To build
human
what-
bodies could be a great source of minerals and
Or other parts of the ship it doesn't need, or broken components. It's synthesizing what it needs. You probably have something like those, probably like the sort of tracked, bomb squad things. They probably have a couple of those in there for really dangerous situations where you don't want to send people in. It's probably no more than it has a camera and maybe a little grabby
Sensor?
thing. Yeah.
Sensor?
So you probably have one of those, and it can probably go over and automate itself. Clamps.
So do you think that this quantum stuff is actually just out here harvesting materials for it to build
Well, no, I think the quantum bots that we've encountered are part of this arsenal, part of its.
Its weapon system.
Yes.
It's like the quantum bots were part of its weapons array, and then the nanobots that killed everyone were part of the main ship itself.
Yes.
Well, you don't know if it was nanobots or quantum bots that killed the people.
But based on
If I said nanobots, that was in error.
And the nanobots were people made.
There's like, well, you haven't really looked, but you don't know. You assume it's some sort of nanotechnology of some kind, but
whether it's nano or
and
quantum.
the working assumption that we had was that it wasn't the quantum bots because the quantum bots ate everything. In our last interaction with them, they were not confined to organic matter.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They ate the ship, the space station. The entirety of that structure was warping. Like, the escape pods were disintegrating. Like, it wasn't like, hey, we'll take the flesh and leave everything else.
Right. And the last time that happened was with the nanotechnology, which was encasing the
Right.
quantum bots. So our working hypothesis is it was some kind of nanotech that was attacking the crew because it didn't dissolve everything.
Got it.
Well, that, and again, maybe I'm just throwing out more garbage, but it makes me wonder if they can utilize nanotech, if this is a way for the ship to harvest more materials because it's making more. It's making another one of these. What, a fourth device? You said?
It's making a device for containing quantum
Containment,
bots.
Yeah.
Right.
There's one that's functioning. There's like two or three let's say three backups, and it's making a fourth one.
And it's using nanotech or it's using quantum tech to make them.
Nanotech
To make them.
Yeah, it's basically synthesizing the molecules it needs to build the structures that make
Because the system knows that if this gets out, it's game over for them too.
That's why I wonder if it decided to sacrifice the crew for parts and materials.
Maybe, but that doesn't
Why
explain
just the flesh and not other parts of the ship?
Because it's cannibalizing its own ship to do this currently.
But it's made out of something we don't understand, and maybe our ship just doesn't have what it needs. It's just aluminum and steel. Maybe it needs calcium. I don't know. I don't know. But it could be a separate system. This may not be the escaped killer quantum tech. This might be something much more refined. I'm just saying.
No, you're bringing up an interesting point.
Because it's gathering these materials from somewhere, and it's desperate to do it. It keeps doing it. It's been doing it. So anytime it comes across stuff it can use, I can only imagine that it would utilize it. I could see how aluminum and metal, it probably, if there was a star here, it probably got all of the stuff that it needed from that, and meteors that are around or whatever, but stuff that's in human bodies is probably a bit more precious. Zinc and calcium and...
Was there any notes in Riley's quarters about her artifact depicting what it's made of?
No.
Okay.
It is an unidentifiable substance.
So, I mean, if it's unidentifiable, then it would stand to reason that we know what humans are made up of. If it was made up of a similar substance, we would be able to identify something.
Again, I might just be a shot in the dark, but it would explain why this is behaving differently. It would also explain where the signal came from, because it came from the ship itself telling its quantum tech, its nanotech, to harvest the parts and the pieces it needs and bring it back to it. It would be interesting to see how much further it got along between when they first went through, and if we go in and look at it, if it's more built and there's stuff looks newer, maybe we can extrapolate the fact we know where it got its material from.
Yeah, but there's plenty of material left over on the derelict ship.
Let's send the probe.
Yeah. Okay.
We're just wildly speculating.
Yes.
Literally, throwing out whatever we think might have happened, but, without gathering any information. That's all we're doing.
All right.
Also with no actionable items.
Agreed.
So let's send the probe and see what's on the ship.
I'm here for it.
Okay. So it's remote, and it operates in space. You can fly it over by remote control or whatever. And there are 4 entrances on the ship. There's a fore entrance and aft entrance, and there's one on either side on the port and aft. Which one do you want to go?
Are any of
The
them?
closest one.
Are any of them open?
They're all open. But they're like airlocks. So
We go to the closest one.
okay, that would be the aft.
That's the back, right?
Yes. And where do you, the stern? Where do you want to send it?
Well,
Well, it's where they're building containment units, yeah?
yeah, sure. We'll send it to containment first.
Okay. All right. Basically goes down and goes into something like an elevator. It goes down like 8 decks, and then it comes out, and you can see that in the hallway there are vac suits collapsed on the ground, and kind of go down through a little farther down the hallway, and you get to a section where you can see that there are small, like wheeled robots with various arms on them, and some of them are just kind of sitting there, and they're pretty, because you've got like the spectral analyzer on the drone, and they're like radiating a lot of heat, so they're doing something, and then you can see that there is a containment unit that looks not that different from the containment unit you saw on the Crick, but you can see that there's some kind of module plugged into electronically somehow into this containment system, and there are like 3 of them sitting next to it, and you can see 2 more of these sort of tracked robots sitting there assembling the thing.
What are the robots assembling?
It looks like they're assembling another spare containment containment control.
So they are assembling a 6th containment control.
5th. There's 1 in it, 3, and then 1 more. The one they're working on. So 5th.
Redundancies on top of redundancies.
Right.
How much further along are they with that than the last footage we saw?
Barely.
Okay. So it looks like this is all progressing exactly as we saw it before. So I'm going to send the drone over to the bridge.
Okay. There are more drones on the bridge than there were in the containment, which during most of the time that there were people on this ship, most of the drones, when they got on the ship, they were in the containment area. Mm-hmm. They were in the
where we were.
Yeah, the nano deployment section. But now they're on the bridge, and it seems like they're reassembling things. Like someone got up there and said, "We need to know how this console works." And they start taking it apart and trying to figure out what it is. These things are now putting it all back together.
Okay, so far, like, it's more redundancies in containment, and they're putting everything back together that the scientists and everyone took apart.
Basically.
On the bridge.
Yes.
Is there, like, a med bay that was identified?
Make an intelligence roll, because, you don't really... It was not identified. It's not one of the things they were really looking for. They're looking more for harvesting technology. Mm-hmm. But you can see if you can kind of figure out what that thing might look like.
7.
7? Yeah, it's close enough. Yeah. Yeah, you can. You kind of can look at... They have the ship mapped out, so you can kind of look through the files and see, like... And you kind of figure out this is probably where they would put a med bay.
Okay.
So
I'm going to send the drone there.
Okay. All right.
I mean, probe, drone, whatever.
All right.
My robot as opposed to your robot.
Right. And it gets up to like a big blast door, which is open. Looks like it had been cut open, and you can see that there are drones. There are like repair drones there working to start to fix it. And it goes through, and you are going through what looks like it's probably an armory. There are like rows and rows of what appear to be some sort of handheld weapons. And then after that, it goes in through another area that kind of looks like it's probably a barracks. And there are bunk beds that are like 3 or 4 high on either side of it, and it's long and it's deep. This looks like there's probably 1,000 beds in this area, and the corpses are laying in the beds are all dead, and they look like lurkers.
Oh.
Interesting.
And then it kind of goes through this section, and then it goes through a couple more hallways, and then you're in what you think is the med bay.
It did say there were 3 different species. So maybe the lurkers are the warrior caste, and
But let's see what the med bay looks like.
yes.
Okay. Med bay, it looks like that they have something that looks kind of like an auto dock to you, but it looks like they have 3 different versions of it. There's like 2 or 3 of one kind, and 2 or 3 of another kind, and 2 or 3 of another kind. Like some are large, like lurker size. Some are small, like size of like a medium-sized cat.
Okay. And when in our files, like, they hadn't researched the medical bay or all our medical files or anything
Not
like
much.
that. Like,
Not much.
interesting.
You know, going through the records, there is not one biologist or xenobiologist on this crew.
But the International Association of Xenobiologists.
Apparently, until they get their shit together and come up with one organization, they don't get to go on these missions.
Can't even agree on a name.
Right.
I mean, really, that's the only thing they can't agree on. The International Association of Xenobiologists and the International Society of Xeno.
Right.
Terrible schism.
I mean, when the xenobiologists get together, it's going to be a ruckus.
Right.
Either way. So no one cared about the medical.
I mean,
Know that
people
one-
were up here. I mean, the doors have been pried open and stuff like that, but it doesn't look like there's no piles of people juice anywhere in here. So
Great. And the lurker corpses were not obviously piles of goo.
no, they were
They were like mummies.
Yes,
but
exactly.
without the rabbits.
right.
And get the probe. Can the probe bring one back?
It can bring a piece. It's probably not big enough to bring a whole one.
Like a finger or something?
It can probably bring a head if you want a head.
I want a head.
Okay.
I'm just saying. It's the important bit, right?
Right.
You think if it was like mummies, it would just be able to like kind of
Oh, still the bone.
break it off and dig it with.
Well, it's not going to make a mess. It's not going to risk cracking the head in half.
Did you want a good specimen?
Maybe. Define good. 2 crows. I'm bringing you back a present.
So you're going to send it back?
Yes.
Okay.
I just because we have no ability to like decipher the language, and there were no other bodies. Like when on its paths, there was goo and there was lurker. So far.
So far, that's what you've seen.
Cool. So I'm gonna bring back the lurker head.
But you know in the records from the medical science vessel
That there were more.
that there were at least 2 other species that were
But like right now, I'm gonna bring back the lurker head and give it to 2 crows,
okay.
and then I'm gonna send the probe back
Okay.
and head to, I guess, the bridge.
Okay.
No. Mm-hmm.
You've been to the bridge once before.
Oh
and
yes,
they
I
were
went to the
repairing
bridge before I went to the thing, and there were no bodies there.
it. No.
So in the notes, it said there were 2 other species. Did they say where they found evidence of those species?
Engineering room, they found one of them, and the other one there was only the 2 or 3 of them, and they were sort of kind of off by themselves.
Okay, well, to engineering.
Okay. And you get to the engineering section, or the probe gets to the engineering section, and they kind of look like desiccated monkeys. They're little, and they appear to be bipedal, and they're bilaterally symmetric, and they have, I think, 4 arms each. And they're little desiccated monkeys with little tool belts.
You bring one of the whole things back?
That you can totally do.
Awesome. They're so cute. We could stuff it.
It's not stuffed in nanotech already.
We're
This is
kind
a
of
sequel to
fucked
Big Blue
there
Monkeys,
one way or
isn't it?
another.
This is a sequel to Big Blue Monkeys, isn't it?
No.
I'm gonna bring that back and then try to find the third species.
Okay. Yeah, in the notes they have all that stuff. There's like 3 of them, and they're in like a small. Like when you get back, when you bring the probe back, it kind of it goes through the bridge, and there's like another hatchway in front of the bridge, and it goes through that. And this is probably like a fuel section or something, because the most of the hull is completely empty, and there's literally just like a tunnel that goes through the void of this section of the ship, and there's a chamber way up in the front, and it's probably a kilometer away from any other structure besides the outer hull of the ship.
When you're up there, see if there's any artifacts that look at all like Kimi's artifact, and if there's anything on these bodies like what might pass for a card or ID, or because if the monkeys had tool belts, maybe these things have something else.
Okay, so there's a chamber, and they had pried the door open, kind of looked inside, and then left. And you go in there, and the first chamber looks sort of like a living chamber, and then two of these other creatures, and I will give you a physical description of them right now, if I can find them.
And this will be the cat-sized, the medium cat-sized people.
Or is it the monkeys?
Well, the cats,
I mean, monkeys are bigger than medium-sized cats.
the monkeys were the cat-sized ones. They were
Okay.
the smallest. They're little. They're like this big.
Little spider monkeys.
The little tiny guys.
Okay. Baby monkeys.
These stand around human size, but they look a little reptilian, and they have what do they call? What's the term?
Lizard people it is.
Sleaze dad.
What is the term? Because I know I wrote
Are
that
they
down.
giant crystal lizard squirrels?
Are they carbon-based or silicon-based creatures?
They're carbon. Well, the very preliminary things, they found that much out. All of these species are carbon based.
Okay.
They are not crystal squirrels.
No.
Thank God.
The
Suspicious squirrels.
and they're called pentaped, which means they have 4 limbs and a tail that has multi uses.
A prehensile tail.
Used for balance, can also be used for manipulation. And they're roughly human size.
And they have 4 arms, like the monkeys.
No, they don't look like they're part of the same family line at all. Nor do the lurkers.
But you said that they were 4-limbed. Like, does
Yeah,
that mean
2
they had 2
hands,
arms
2 arms, 2
and
legs.
2
Well,
legs, or does that mean they had 4 arms?
Well, the monkeys had 4 arms.
Yes, that's why I was asking you about this. I
Right.
didn't
They had
understand what
6
you meant.
limbs. These things technically have 5 if you count the tail, because the tail's so useful.
Okay, cool. So it's 2 arms, 2 legs, and a tail.
Right. They did like quick genetic tests on them, and the lurkers have DNA that's similar to human DNA, as do the monkeys. These have a DNA that is a 3-component helix rather than a 2-component helix.
Oh, wow.
So these things might have 3 genders.
Cool. Let's bring it back.
Okay.
Is there
Now,
anything?
this is big. This is human size. You want to just take the head? Okay.
Is there anything on them? A belt or?
Well, there were 2 of them are in the sleeping area, or what looked like the living area, and then there was one in the front, and there's sort of like another chamber ahead of it, and it's wearing some kind of helmet, and it's sitting in a chair facing forward.
Maybe we should take that one with the helmet.
I mean, either way, they're the same species. I don't think we're going to find out any more about them than by taking the one that looked like it was possibly piloting the ship.
Well, I mean, taking the helmet might tell us more about what kind of substance they used to make things.
I mean, we could take the helmet too.
Okay.
So we'll take the head of one and the helmet. It doesn't have to be the same one. Whatever's
you
easiest.
can. I mean, it's going to cut a neck anyway. You can cut one neck or 2, or just cut one neck and take the helmet. It's up to
Whatever.
you. Okay.
Whatever.
Well, If it's left to its own discretion, it's going to cut the neck and take the head and the helmet in one.
Great, let's do it.
Okay. And that is brought back to your ship as well.
I am so morbid today.
You got 2 heads and a monkey.
Was there anything in that chamber at all that looked at all like Kimi's device, sitting on bedside tables or on the wall or in people's hands?
You see things that only in that front room, that front section, that front chamber, that look like they might be made out of the same material.
And is there any of that weird writing anywhere?
That writing's everywhere.
All over.
Yeah. I mean, there's active readouts.
Because that's just
Shown.
the language.
Right.
And that was that same language throughout all 3 sections of
Yes.
the ship that I've seen? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's 3 species, but they shared a common language.
How far... let me just tell you what I wanted to try to do. Let's see if the ship can decipher anything from what Kimi's artifact had on it. If they've gotten... they've been able to break a little bit of the code, they've been able to figure out any of the letters that are on Kimi's device.
Make an intelligence roll. Because you're kind of sifting through some kind of esoteric stuff.
Ooh,
7.
7.
But I need an 8.
Well, at a 7, there's something for the concept of either sleep or rest or stop
That is similar.
on Kimi's artifact, and that symbol, they think that's what that means.
I mean, this could be simply just run through the computer. It can look at Kimi's writing and look at what they have, and then
Right.
up come.
That's basically the only similarity. The only thing that of the symbols on her thing, that's the only one that seems to have that they haven't really even cracked it, but they know
Oh,
it.
sure. I didn't expect anything to happen at all, so
Right.
that's all right. Interesting. She's gonna be happy to know that. Is she in the chat right now?
No.
Screaming at us?
No, she's probably. I'm sure she's sick, and she's probably pretty sick. She would have been here earlier.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we start analyzing the heads you recovered.
Mm-hmm. 2 heads and a monkey.
Now, as that probe is coming out, you see, down sort of the main hallway to the stern access, you see a bunch of those
Repair droid.
repair robots that are coming up out of elevators and going up passages.
All of
from
the
the ventral to the
repairs are
dorsal.
going up.
Yeah, a bunch of them, 12 of them.
That's a lot.
We should see what they're up to.
Yeah. We'll follow the drones.
And they seem to be kind of going in different directions.
We'll follow the bulk of the repair bots.
Okay. All right. You kind of follow some, and they go up, and some of them are repairing a piece of the hull where the researchers had cut a hole, or repairing a door that someone pried open. I mean, it looks like they're repairing just...
So it's basically just they were going level by level. After the...
Well, they all came out of the same elevator. There's a whole bunch of
they
them.
were
just
done with, they were all done with whatever they were doing before.
Priority. You should probably get out of there before you get sealed inside, huh? That's the parrots.
I mean, I'm not there. It's just a probe.
Yeah.
But yes, I'm going to take the probe, and I'm
Okay.
going to bring the head back and the helmet back.
Okay. And you have the head and the helmet.
Mm-hmm.
And the monkey.
And then the helmet.
And a monkey and another head.
Helmet and a monkey, 2 heads.
Yes.
Oh my god.
Great. 2 crows. I have more presents for you.
Okay.
With the lurker head, I would like to analyze it and see how close it is to the lurkers that we had before.
Okay.
That we'd encountered before.
All right.
Specifically, I wonder if there's remnants of that added extra organ that
Yeah.
they had.
Do they have psionic ability?
Yeah.
Were they all together in their things?
They definitely they had more psionic ability.
Great.
And they're very similar. I mean, he Two Crows is He said, if I had to guess, I would say that this sample, the samples from Dolan's Peak, were isolated maybe 500,000 years ago from this sample you just gave me. I mean, there's drift, genetic drift, but if this ship's 1 million years old, there's not 1 million years of drift. At least it's not what I'm seeing.
Okay, so it's possible that what happened is the lurkers on Dolan's Peak were just kind of a crash-landed crew, or a crew that was separated from their main hive, and then degenerated from there, or drifted from there.
Two crows.
Croutons! I have a present for you!
He says these things, if their population drops, they're almost immediately going to degenerate, I would think, the way it looks like that their brains are set up.
Yeah, so if enough of them died off, like, through some catastrophe or another,
or they just get separated by a far enough distance,
then they would have degenerated just by nature of the hive mind and its limited
Which now makes me more
range.
concerned for the 19 or so that we left in space. They have to find their way back here to this ship.
I mean, 19 of them makes them about as smart as one person. Not a genius either. Just as smart as your average bear.
I thought we'd figured out it was a lot more than that. I figured it was like 2 or 3 of them were as smart as a human. 19 of them was super genius.
Well, 3 of them were definitely not as smart as a human.
No, I think 3 was like just under human intelligence.
3 of them. They reach human-like sapience around 20.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in the barracks or whatever of this vessel, there were probably 1,000 of them.
So they were, like, super smart here. But, like, I'm talking, like, the 19 that we left in space were about as smart as one person.
Okay.
I would take twice that many to get to, like, a...
I got it.
Well... So we definitely know that this is... They were soldier cast. For lack of a better way to put it. At the moment. And... Tool belt, engineering section. It looks like monkeys were maintenance workers, kind of engineers.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would guess the reptiles were leaders of the crew. Just separated from the rest, in a position of...
Yeah. Either pilots are in charge or...
Based on what we could see from when the probe was in the bridge, does it look like the bridge was built to be manipulated by people that were...
People-sized?
Lurker-sized, lizard-sized, monkey-sized.
Make an intelligence roll. Or if you have xenobiology.
I do not. Intelligence, that is an 8.
Okay. Something else.
So there was a 4th, in theory.
There's not... There's... First off, you didn't see any control stuff in that very front chamber where the reptilian species was. You saw a lot of electronics, but not a lot of, like...
Controls.
Buttons and switches or control surfaces of any kind. But you did definitely see that stuff, obviously, in what they had identified as the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not a lot of seating in the bridge. It looks like there's only a couple of seats in it, and they don't look... They're definitely not for monkeys, and they're definitely too small for lurkers, and they looked like seats, and the seat would have to have a big tail hole in it for the third species to sit in it. Otherwise, it's going to be sitting on its tail, and that's probably uncomfortable. Maybe they do.
Well, it doesn't match the chair that we found the other body in.
Correct. That one had a tail hole.
There we go.
Tail hole. Great. So, 4th species as yet undiscovered.
Well, I'm
Around person-sized, but not with giant prehensile tail.
Yeah, I mean, it looks... looking at those chairs, you could probably comfortably sit in one.
What can we learn from the tools that the little monkeys are carrying?
Most of them are long past being functional, but some of them are similar to things that you would normally see. There are wrenches and screwdrivers and things like that to use to pry and loosen and tighten fasteners. There's a couple of tools in there. Look like they might be cutters of some kind, possibly.
Were they made out of an alloy or made out of a similar thing as the ship?
Some of them appear to be just made out of steel or a real common alloy. Some of them look like they're a little more advanced, maybe like made out of carbon fiber. None of them seem like they're made out of whatever the hull of the ship is made out of. That would probably be overkill.
And what's the helmet tell us?
Does someone want to look at the? Well, who's going to look at the helmet? Because Two Crows is like a flesh and blood
Right.
scientist.
Calling the mechanic.
Yeah, okay.
Anybody got anything you want to help me with?
I mean,
4, 5, 6, and then I got mechanic 7. And I don't know, is there an... Yeah.
Then what about...
I don't have any bonuses.
The only thing that you notice about it that kind of stands out to
A
you,
lot of 7s.
there's a lot of what you should be. It's the average roll. You're going to get a 6 out of the all permutations is going to be a 7, right?
Let's consult Traveler 5 to find out exactly what the dice probability will be.
Can we call Tabby, please?
Right.
Tabby
No,
on the
Traveler
line.
5 actually has a...
6 out of all 36 permutations are going to be a 7.
I got it.
So the only thing that you notice is there seem to be some kind of metallic contacts inside the helmet.
So if you were psychic and you put this thing on your head, you could probably communicate with things. Yeah.
Everything's metallic contacts. That's what we know.
Yeah, there's metallic contacts. You could make an education. Just
What about your
flat education roll.
psionic?
I'm gonna roll a flat education.
Or do you have your psionological?
Yeah, but it's a 0, so
It's a
like.
well, okay. Well, that gives you
That means,
it's a
that
skill,
means you get no minuses.
and then add your education to it.
Okay. That's a 8. 9. 'Cause I
9.
rolled a 7,
Okay.
so it's a 9. Maths.
One of the things that you stumbled upon had a very similar look to this. One of the things that got you in a lot of trouble and made you need to run away looked a lot like this.
Yeah. If I had to guess, you were onto something. There's a modern the sci projects that I had exposure to before I left the intelligence business.
Now that was an EU organization that you stumbled upon, correct? Mm-hmm. Okay, the inside of this helmet looks a lot like what you saw.
If I had to guess, they
A
were
lot.
using this as a base for sci projects.
Who is the...
The EU.
How would this lizard thing get an EU psi helmet?
See, opposite way. Opposite way.
Oh, okay.
Just flip it and reverse it.
So, theoretically, if you were psionically talented and you put this helmet on, you could do stuff with it.
Theoretically.
So the EU is aware of this ship's existence.
Well, there is another ship.
Right.
True.
And-
They're aware of at least the existence of this helmet, and not just aware, but are basing their own technology and experiments upon it.
And if
We've
these
had-
ships had run the same way, then there was at least another helmet guy on that one, too.
So
Maybe.
they've had long exposure to it, enough to replicate the technology, which means the technology of this lost civilization can be replicated,
Possibly.
which means there's possibility that we can replicate the containment and stop
Well,
them.
that, I mean, it seems like that they were well on their way to doing that before
Right.
before Ooze Day.
Stay.
Wait, another one of those?
But so we know that the the lurkers here were... We know that they're a hive mind. There were plenty of them to be incredibly intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
Several hundred times the intelligence of a human. And then we also know that it's possible that through the helmet the reptiles communicated with, at the very least, the lurkers. And we don't know about the monkeys yet. So we'll give Two Crows the monkey body and see if it has the same kind of, like, psionic organs and whatever, like, if he can tell if it would have had psionic aptitude as well.
And judging from the lack of controls all over this ship, you said that in the bridge there wasn't like a lot of...
No, that front room, the front chamber.
Front chamber.
You saw controls in the
Okay.
in the
Does
bridge.
make me wonder what happened to the ship? What caused it to stop working?
Yes. And, I mean, from the state of these bodies, it would seem that it was a sudden, like, this wasn't, oh, they were in the midst of evacuating. The ship went down somehow, catastrophic failure. Sudden catastrophic failure.
And it wasn't the nanotech that turned against them because the bodies are still here.
Mm-hmm. Quantum tech.
Yes, sorry.
It's time to bring this information to Dr. Hutchinson.
Perhaps.
I wonder if there once was a star or a planet, a star and a planet in this system that got taken down by this quantum tech. And maybe these guys were in the way.
Elder Star Alpha, like, we saw the dead star. The star dying left a residue of a dead star. There's no
That's
evidence
true.
there was ever a star here.
That is true.
Yeah, there's enough mass and enough density to actually create at least a light glow. You can actually see like a gray dwarf
Okay.
sort of star.
I think we're a bit above our heads at this point.
Or at least well out of our scientific purview. Hutchinson seems like our best bet.
I agree.
And since we've pulled the data off of all the ships, and we have NBC's notes, maybe she'll be able to make some sense out of them that we couldn't.
And Two Crows can take a look at this lizard head while we're jumping.
Well, he's scanning the monkey right now, and he tells you that the monkey does seem to have sort of the same enlarged organs that seem to be associated with psionics.
So it would seem that these ships were psionically controlled, or at least, like,
the crew at
they're
least communicated
psionically.
He said
telepathically.
he also found small amounts of DNA from something that isn't one of the three species or human on the monkey head.
What kind of DNA structure did that have?
Another three strand?
That evidence.
Two. It was two strands, but he basically found like a complete cell. So it's not a lurker, it's not the reptilian, and it's not the monkey mechanics. It's not human. So he said he says that maybe there is a fourth species on that vessel. Then just no one's found it yet, or we maybe could take this sample to 70 Opeuchi because they have that machine where they could build like a digital.
Well, we'll have to stop on the way anyway to refuel. And we might as well make one of those stops 70 Opeuchi. Possibly, pick up Riley on our way back.
Okay.
Makes the most sense. Though I don't know if we want to give this information to anybody outside of Dr. Hutchinson.
Well, I have my contact at 70 Opeuchi.
Right. The name I can never remember.
Looking it up. I can be smart.
Is that Dr. Zaria?
Yes.
Ramachandran?
Yes, it's
that's
Dr.
it.
Ramachandran, yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
And she's on 70 Opeuchi. Yes?
Yes.
I thought she was. With my dead drop and everything.
Okay.
Alright, makes no sense.
Another week and jump.
Yeah,
And
back to
to 70 Opeuchi.
70 Opeuchi.
Yep.
Great.
All right. So you start heading out toward the jump point.
Oh no!
And then you get basically like a ping, a radio signal comes from behind you, from one of the vessels behind you.
Great. Open up communications.
Okay. And you're not getting the digital handshake that you normally get from that.
Hello.
Yes, hello, this is the Vanguard. Are you there?
You're hearing static.
Can we trace the ping back to which ship it was?
It was the derelict.
Do you want to go out in the shuttle and see if maybe something is trying to contact us telepathically? Like we did
It
last
worked
time?
before.
Yep. Are we in the shuttle now, or are we out back on our?
You're back on
our
your
shield.
shield.
We're
Yeah,
getting,
I'm
we're
assuming
getting
you're
ready
in
to
your ship.
jump.
Yeah. So we're back on our shielded ship.
Yeah. You've
Yeah.
been there since you
Okay.
got off
No.
Yeah.
Just I'm trying to.
Because she was using everything. Everything was happening with remote.
Okay.
Perhaps getting back on the shuttle, since our ship apparently can block, or it seems to be able to block any of these psionic abilities.
Great. So that is what we shall do.
Who is going on the shuttle?
I'll go on the shuttle.
I'll go on the shuttle. Man the turrets.
I'll man the turrets. Now, if they take you over, I'm blowing you guys out of the sky.
Would expect
Something
nothing
happens
less.
to me. You wait an hour. You come rescue me.
I love Mal. Okay? Come rescue, come get me.
And risk my ship?
"70 Yopiuchi is the
Thing you say.
Looking for my...
A lurker Christmas Day.
Muritsubishi Toshi's tracks better, but
Muritsubishi Toshi does start better. I'll wait till she comes back. So you heard about the fire?
Yeah.
Okay, I told you about it, right?
Yeah.
I'm just making conversation so we don't have dead air.
Oh, good call.
Hi, chat room.
Hi, guys.
There's a few people in there.
I'm really surprised Kimi's not in there screaming at us.
No. No, I think she's actually sick.
We probably never actually mentioned. She's just sick.
I told the
yeah.
I told the chat room, but I
Okay.
didn't tell on her. Yeah. Kimi's illin.
And we have a long-standing tradition because of Stu. That if you are at all ill, you don't come anywhere near the house.
My immune system sucks. So you take the shuttle out, and like just as soon as you sort of leave the shuttle bay, you both kind of feel this strong urge to go back to the derelict. Now, whether or not you think, as your character, think that's a safe or good idea, can govern what you do here. But you do suddenly feel this inclination to go back.
No, thank you. Actually, you know what I'm going to say? Is like, whoever is out there, if you can communicate here, because I have no desire to go to the death ship, except now I do. And I feel like if you can implant urges in my mind, you can communicate like a civilized being.
You develop almost very suddenly an almost debilitating migraine.
Civilized being, I said civilized.
You're shouting.
Stop breathing in my head.
I'm shouting.
It hurts.
You're not taking damage, but it hurts. It hurts.
Lower your damn voice.
But you're not hurting.
No. What do you wish us to see? What did we miss? I'm thinking very loudly.
Okay. You're not getting anything.
Yeah.
All you're getting is that sort of persistent. I'm gonna go back over there.
There's got to be something more.
Could be. We can send the probe back over, but honestly, I need to get back. Oh, the screaming in my head. The screaming in my head.
Did I hear you say all those things? Did you say them out loud, or were you just thinking them very loudly?
No, I say them out loud. We still communicate verbally.
Right, but I mean the whole.
Yes, but I want you to, like, I'm not giving any secrets here.
Okay.
Well, at least not any more than the normal ones I keep.
I assure you, she meant no disrespect. She's just very excitable. Perhaps release her, and we can talk about this like
Civilized people.
equals.
The Magneto pose.
Well, when in doubt.
Now your head starts to hurt.
Oh no, bad, really bad.
And it hurts to the point where it's hard to keep your eyes open.
Okay.
Oh,
Again,
we're going back.
you're
We're
not
going
taking-
back.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to have you make a piloting roll because you're kind of debilitated, and make it. I'm going to say you need to hit a 10 in order to not bump into something on the way in, because it's almost like you're getting those that searing lights, you know what I mean, and that sharp hot pain in the sweetmeats right above your eyes.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing I hit
Oh,
a
boom.
a
All
12
right.
then.
Okay.
Plus
You're-
whatever my additional, I guess, like piloting would be intellect, so that's a 13.
As soon as the docking bay door shuts, it's gone, completely gone. And it's like, oh, it feels so good not to have a headache. And immediately you're elated.
Oh god, we're getting out of here fast, quickly.
Yep.
More. Okay.
All right. After
Whatever's still on there is powerful and pissy.
Was this at all similar to what happened when you were talking to the...
No. We both suddenly had an urge to go back to the derelict, but to go back ourselves. And then I asked it to speak to us like civilized people.
Ask is a very generous word.
And it gave me the worst migraine I've ever had in my life.
I tried to explain, and then it retaliated in a similar fashion, so we decided to come back and get the hell out of Dodge.
I don't want that thing in my brain anymore. You know what we could do? We are safe here, and we could send the probe back.
You go ahead and send the probe back. I'm going to plot an education course, just in case you need to leave the probe behind. I'd rather
Fine
not
by
encounter
me.
that again.
I could easily... The point of sending the probe is that we could leave it behind if necessary.
Good. Then we're agreed.
Okay.
We know something is active, alive, psychic on there.
Okay. So you send the probe back. Same entrance you went in the last time?
Sure.
Okay. All right. You're on the ship, and there's one of these repair bots working on something over here. And you see another one down the hall. Looks like it looked when you were here last time.
Gonna have the probe tink one of the repair bots on,
Sure.
basically poke it,
Right.
try to get its attention.
It does not divert from what it's doing. I mean, how aggressively are you
Poking
Are you
it?
tweaking it?
It's hey.
It's ignoring it. Or if it needs to move out of the way to get it to stop, to continue doing what it's doing, it does that.
Jerk. Just move along. I'm so we went to the control bay, we went to the bridge, we went to the forward. Were there...
Master Vidar says, they're in a military ship. They could send a missile.
It's not the point.
Or 12.
Don't want to
Not the
send the quantum
point.
bots into the void of space.
Yeah, no. The whole
I've thought
point
about
of this
it.
entire campaign was making sure the quantum bots don't get out into the
Right.
everywhere. So blowing up the only place we know for a fact they're 100% contained does not seem like a good course of action.
Right.
So if you were a frozen psychic lizard,
I mean, we don't know that it's a lizard. We can actually be fairly certain it wasn't a lizard because the lizards
all right. If you were a frozen psychic alien, or I
Yes.
can only assume that it was in some sort of stasis, waiting for activity. Because this is the first time it's done this to. I mean, there were no records from the military ship at all, right?
What about headaches or
Nobody else
Psychic
got
messages?
sudden migraines?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. So,
I wonder if this is linked to the taking of the helmet.
this isn't the worst idea, but it is the worst idea, and I'm going to do it anyway.
Put
you're
that
going
helmet
to
on.
put the helmet on and go at the shuttle and see what happens?
Yes.
Why don't
Okay.
we? Why don't we instead of taking
But
the
you know
shuttle?
what I'm not going to do is I'm going to give control of the shuttle over to... So I'm going to go out alone, and I'm going to give control of the shuttle over to you.
Okay.
So
Like
I cannot...
remotely?
Yes. So
Okay.
I cannot pilot it back to the derelict.
What if we just put you in a vac suit and put you on a tether and float you out? And then
Yeah.
we can just reel you back in. And then
That's
we're not
great.
losing a shuttle when there's no piloting errors. And then when you start screaming uncontrollably, we can just reel you back in.
Perfect.
Yeah,
We'll
that
do
works.
that.
That's a good idea.
With
gonna
the
s-
helmet on
yes.
and then in a vac suit.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm doing it.
Do you have a vac suit?
I do.
Give me a vac suit roll, just only because the helmet is a little bulky, just to make sure you get a good seal.
That's a 9,
Okay.
10, plus whatever my modifier would be.
Got
I'm
it.
going to help her with that. Make sure
Oh, she did good. She did good. She hit it fine. All right. So they reel you outside.
Good luck.
I'll need it.
And Shuri gets psychically woke.
Now you also have a headache, and the headache is extremely bad. And you take 9 points to your con. This thing is like assaulting your brain.
So you get rid of
I just
Is it-
started
I'm sorry,
screaming.
endurance.
endurance. Yeah.
And then after endurance, what do I...
You could pick.
You pick either Dex or Int. So one
Dex
of
it
them.
is.
So one of them is below 0 at this point.
Yes.
Okay.
Endurance is 0 and Dex is 5.
Once 2 are below 0, you fall unconscious. When 3 fall to 0, you die.
Great.
So, but you are in extreme pain, and even though it's difficult to feel the sensation, you can sort of feel that blood is coming out of your nose and your ears.
Cool. I'm just going to scream. I'm just going to start screaming.
I guess
Bring it
we'll
back?
reel her back
Yeah,
in.
please.
Okay.
I think that's the signal.
Okay.
1 scream for yes, 2 screams for no.
2 screams for fuck yes.
Wheel her back
3
in.
screams for
White
it's
Walkers.
almost too late.
Right. Okay. They reel you back in. The pain lessens, but there's still pain because there's actually damage now. You kind of figured that helmet probably is like amplifier of some kind. Maybe in both directions.
Okay.
But you got the sense that whatever this is, it doesn't even consider you sapient.
Great. Go. Just go. Just
All
go.
right, yeah.
Let's get you to the med bay.
Yeah, get to 2 crows, please. And I will plot our astrogation course back to the planet. I can remember
Here,
the name
let me
of it.
help you.
OBOG?
70
Okay.
OBUG.
And that's
Yeah.
you need a 4 or 5 or higher.
I'll
Okay,
help
and
you.
you're helping me, so I've got the... Well, you're helping because you're taking her.
All right. If you just want to roll your 2.
Really fine.
I can help you, then I'll help her.
I'm fine, I got it. We're good.
Oh, I love it when people roll a 1.
2 1s. Yeah.
Right.
Critical fail.
Awesome.
Jump into a star.
So 9,
No, I would never do that. That's not interesting at all.
10. I get 11.
11? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. No problem. So they take you to the med bay, and he put you in the machine to diagnose what's going on. It kind of does a little scan thing over your head. It does a whole body scan, but then it mostly starts concentrating on your head. And 2 Crows is looking at the readout. And he says that that the little lobe of the brain that gets enlarged in people with psionics, yours looks like there's empty space around yours. Like it looks like
Like it got smaller.
No, like it got bigger and made room, and
Like-
then went back to its normal size. Assuming it wasn't already enlarged. Are you psionic?
No.
This is 2 Crows asking you.
Not that I know of.
Whatever it did, it looks like it enlarged it somehow.
And that would explain the splitting,
You have some
splintering pain.
pretty serious brain damage right now. He says, I really should put you in a medical coma.
Please don't.
It might be for the best.
You have a week.
Is that enough time to grows?
I think so. At least to make sure that you being awake isn't causing more damage.
Fine.
All right.
We'll see you on the other side.
Gonna be all right.
And now let's leave it right there.
Okay.
Oh!
That's a good spot to end it.
Yeah. I'm putting...
You know, Shari's in a medical coma.
It's fine.
What could
Riley's...
possibly go wrong?
But they don't
Who
keep
knows?
people in medical comas for longer than a week, usually.
Then you just call it a coma.
Fuck if I know what a medical coma's all about.
I think if you get brain damage, your brain starts swelling, they'll put you in a medical coma, but they usually only do it for a couple of days, I think. All right, that was it for what was it? Session 6, 8, 12.
Hike.
Session, welcome back once again.
Yay!
Session 9. Session 9
Oh.
of Exodus in Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition. And if you would like to find out about our shows, you can go to happyjacks.org/shows and find out about this show and all of the other APs, plus our Friday night regular podcast. And that's it. My name is Stu, and I was your referee.
I'm Joey.
I'm Stork.
I'm Pooja. And if you have a question about GMing for the Friday Night Podcast, send it in.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
If I told you the things I've seen on my ways, if I told you the things I've done in my days, you wouldn't believe me anyway. So it's best I just don't say. I've lived 1,000 lives, I've piloted 1,000 souls, I killed and fought and died
preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.